and the IEEE of the University of Peradeniya. I warmly welcome you all to today's event. But before we dive into the session itself, I'd like to give you all a brief overview about today's agenda. So we'll be starting off with the keynote speech, and at the end, we'll be having a small Q&A session. So if you have any doubts or questions at the moment, or even during the session, we highly encourage you to drop your doubts in the chat box so we can address them later on. Moving on, as you all already know, today's session reads The Art and Business of Computer Game Development. Now, I know for a fact that many of you all here are familiar with the computer game part, but not so much with the development and the business aspects of it. So what better way to learn about it than from an expert himself? Ladies and gentlemen, introducing our guest speaker for today's event, Mr. Dhanushka Sandakelum, who is currently a software engineer in the London Stock Exchange Group. And he has also graduated with a computer science degree from the University of Colombo School of Computing. Mr. Dhanushka Sandakelum, the stage is all yours.
Awesome. Thank you, Vidusini. So first of all, thank you for joining this session. Plus, I would like to thank IEEE Student Branch Society of University of Peradeniya. Without further ado, I'll start the presentation. Okay, so I just share the screen now. Can you guys see it? No?
Yes, we can see.
Okay, great. Right. So today's session is about to show you what are the art and business perspective of the computer game development. So as Vidusini said, like many of you has familiar with computer games, but when it comes to the developing computer games and the business aspects of it may not quite familiar with you guys, I believe. Okay, some of you may have, but most of you not have a specific idea about the domain, right? So the goal of today's session is about give sort of a brief overview about computer game development and its underlying architecture. Okay, right. So today's session we are going to sort of discuss about video game industry and the game development life cycle. You guys may familiar with the software development life cycle. So similar life cycle is there. We call it as game development life cycle. And at the industry, actually, when we are creating computer games, we use game engines. You don't need to familiar with these terms right now. I'm just spitting this stuff because this stuff will be covered within today, right? And there is a specific tool called Unreal Engine. Some of you may heard of it. And we are going to briefly look into that as well and its features and use cases. And if you guys are interested about computer game development and if you guys have sort of an idea to join in with the industry as a computer game developer or any sort of a entity like that, we will be discussing how you can do those stuffs as well. Plus, we are going to look at about our startup, which is SVR Games, and we'll see about it later as well. Okay. So I'm Dhanushka Sandakelum. So as as you heard in the introduction, like I was also a computer science graduate from UCSC. So I did my internship at WSO2 as a software engineer, and currently I'm a software engineer at the London Stock Exchange Group. Also, I'm a founder of SVR Games, which is a computer game development company. So you can find me on these links. This is my portfolio. Also, I'm available at LinkedIn, YouTube, and Medium. Okay, so computer games. I'm not going too much detail on the description. Basically, it's a entertainment. It's a part of the entertainment industry, right? Basically, like interactive applications where anyone who like to interact with or play with. So the revenue generation of this industry is extremely high. When I say in the numbers later on, some of you may not even believe the numbers. So just Google and see. Okay. And there are so many genres, so many categories of computer games. It's not specifically target to a specific direction. Okay. Plus, there is a vast variety of and vast range of global audience across the world, because uh, even from small kids to old people, they like to play computer games, right? So there is a massive audience around the globe. And when it comes to other softwares, right? Computer games is also software, but it has this creativity and uniqueness. Okay, that's what make it as a entertaining interactive application. Okay, again, computer games are form of software, but more creative. Plus, bit of complexity is also there, right? Um, so according to the statistics, the best sold game around the world is Minecraft. So they have like global revenue of 700 million, and they have sold around 350 million units across the globe. Okay, and actually this guy was originally developed by one person, right? Only one guy. Later on, he started the company called Mojang, and distributed and extended further. So this is the uh, first game. And the second, we have GTA 5. Some of you may heard of this franchise, which is a world popular game franchise. And GTA 6 is also coming fall of this year, if I remember properly. But anyway, GTA 5 is a very popular game. It has a global revenue around 9 billion USDs. Right? Can you guys imagine, like 9 billion? Okay. Uh, so I put the term called game engine here as well. So they used a game engine called Rockstar Advanced Game Engine, or as an acronym, Rage. So the studio is actually Rockstar Games, right? And another computer game is Fortnite, which is very popular online multiplayer game. They have around 40 million USD global revenue, right? 40 billion, and it's a free to play game. And this game was actually developed based on Unreal Engine, right? It's a very popular game engine on the domain. Okay. uh, so the obvious question is like, how big is the gaming within the entertainment industry? What do you guys think? So there are several forms of entertainment industry in the world, and books, sports, right? Video games. What could be the biggest entertainment? Any any answers? Yeah. Actually, the biggest entertainment industry in the world is video games. I don't know how many of you believe this or not. Uh, just Google and see. Okay. Even I was back in the days thought, no, a film industry could be the biggest, or maybe even sport industry, but no, video game industry. Right? Uh, so now you may wonder how it could happen, right? I mean, it's just video games, right? No, just a normal thing. So how it becomes the world best and world largest gaming industry in the world, right? So this is a Reddit post I have seen lately. This is about GTA 6 actually. So the production cost of GTA 6 is 2 billion, and the production construction cost of Burj Khalifa is 1.5 billion, right? So this is a game, right? But its cost higher than even the Burj Khalifa, right? So now you may wonder, like, it's just a game, right? Why we put so much amount money, right? We'll see. Okay, so this is the question: how they earn such large amount of money out of computer games, right? I mean, you need to put some amount of money to make computer games, but obviously you have to generate much more large amount of money as a revenue, right? So how they do that? So obviously there are game sales. So you can sell either physical copies or digital copies of your game. So for the digital copies, actually, there's a platform called Steam. Some of you may, not some of you actually, most of you may know about this stuff. So you can purchase the digital copies from Steam. And the second way is basically in-game purchases. So like games like Valorant, Fortnite, Call of Duty, any sort of a game basically. They sell actually in-game purchasable assets like loots, skins, could be items, things like that, right? So this is another way of generating revenue. And one other thing is like DLCs, right? Or downloadable contents. So these are like expansion packs or like additional content released by the game developers. So the uh, end consumers or the players can buy those DLCs and expand it further. Right? So there is a base game that they have to buy, but additionally, once they finish the game, or like if they like to explore it more, they can buy these DLCs and explore further. Right? This is another way of uh, revenue generation stream. And another way is sponsorships and esports. This is a massively big domain. They are like pouring billions of dollars just to have these sort of events around the world. Some of you, not some of you, most of you may know about League of Legends, uh, one of the well-known esports championship program. Right. So altogether, those are some of the ways, like some of the main income streams of computer games, right? The way of they are generating money. Right. Now we are coming to the fun part. Okay. Video game industry. Uh, so there are a lot of international companies who develop computer games, right? Obviously, you may guys heard of GTA game. It was developed by Rockstar. Or Assassin's Creed, developed by Ubisoft. And I think Cyberpunk is from CD Projekt Red. Uh, and Square Enix is there, which I think they develop like Sleeping Dogs or something like that. So likewise, there are a lot of big titles, big gaming titles out there developed by massively large scale computer game development companies internationally. Okay. And when it comes to Sri Lanka, actually the situation is not quite okay, right? Because there are very few game development companies currently actively running in Sri Lanka, right? And none of them is a big company. They are like either sort of subsidiaries of a main company, or they are like independently operating company like indie dev studios, or either they are very small companies. So in our side, actually, we have a startup called SVR Games. I will tell much more detail about it later. But many of you heard of Arimac. I think they have developed Kancha Yuddha, uh, and I think the game called Nero also developed by Arimac. But unfortunately, their game development branch is not active currently. If I remembered correctly, I'm not quite sure. Uh, and the Mogo game is there again, sort of a rising game development company within the Ireland. Plus, the RAM Studio is there. You may have heard of Extraction Valley computer game, which was bit popular back in the days. It's an online multiplayer game. So they develop it at the RAM Studios. So the overall picture is like when it comes to computer games development, uh, Sri Lanka is not a big player, right? Uh, I don't know exact reason why is that, but I have some uh, ideas why is that. So when I'm progressing through the slides, I will try to explain those stuff. And the goal of this session is to show the potential of computer games within the industry and sort of like uh, inspiring you guys to this domain, right? Because actually this is a well-suited industry that we can properly establish in Sri Lanka, and we can generate a very high revenue. Okay, but unfortunately, uh, it's not the current context, right? So the goal of today's session is to show this background, and later on we can carry it out. Okay. Right. So the game development life cycle. So these are sort of like engineering concepts. So like we do in the traditional software engineering development, there is a way of we develop computer games. For example, like we first come up with a story and idea, and we plan the game, and we build a suitable team, and we start the development. And when we are developing, we are keep testing. And once the game has come to a certain state, we will release it as a pre-production or as an alpha release. So the closed end consumer group will play it and test it and find sort of bugs, and we resolve it. And once the game is stabilized, we will release a main production release, so the global audience can download it as a uh, standalone package, and they can play it out. And when the cycle is running, we keep doing marketing strategies as well, because at the end we have to generate the revenue out of the computer games, so we have to sell it, right? So this is the usual strategy that we follow in the game development life cycle. But yeah, just practice of somewhat similar concept that we follow as the software engineer. Right. So considering the job opportunities at computer game industry, again, there are many job opportunities, but I don't know how many of software engineers actually move to this domain. Uh, there are some engineers who actively doing computer game development as their full-time job, and there are engineers like me who are doing sort of part-time manner when they are operating as a software engineer as a full-time, but as a part-time as a game developer. And there are some other people uh, who are like freelance in the game development stuff. But that's the local context. But when it comes to the global software field, global game development industry, things are much bigger, right? So these are some of the roles actually. Not only programming, graphic designers also plays a very huge part, and sound engineers obviously plays a massive contribution to the domain, and like quality assurance, marketing, everything is there. Okay, right. Uh, now, so I think I have given sort of idea about the domain. So now I want to introduce some of the concepts that has exist in the computer game development. Um, so you guys can try this stuff as soon as possible as well. Okay. Uh, so the first term is game engine, right? So I mentioned this term several times at the previous slides. So the obvious question is, what is a game engine and why we need it? Well, it's something like this. It's like when we are developing a traditional software, any software basically. Let's say a website, or maybe a, I don't know, maybe any sort of a standalone application. So we develop that application or website based on specific tech stack, right? For example, let's say if you are building a website, we may use React, we may use Node.js, we may use, uh, I don't know, maybe like Docker for containerization, maybe Kubernetes for the container orchestration, right? So there is a tech stack that we are using in order to build that specific application, right? So when it comes to computer game industry, again we have a tech stack, right? We have like tools like Blender, 3ds Max, Maya, to develop the assets or to develop the 3D models. And we have languages like C Sharp, C++, to develop or to program the computer games. Um, and we have like tools like Adobe Audition and any other software that to handle that sound engineering part. So the obvious question is, we have all of these different tools and we have different assets developed by different aspects of software toolings, but how to put everything together? Hmm? How we can put everything together and make it as a single unified interactable application? So that's the place where game engine comes, right? So game engine is basically an orchestrator of all of these different uh, assets, right? So we have 3D models, we have sounds, we have programming, we have AI logics implemented within the game, we have like creative stories or narratives that has been designed and implemented within the game, right? So all of these different aspects of different domain should be properly put together and orchestrated, and it will make a computer game, right? So that's the task of game engine, right? So you can see like it's not simple as traditional software engineering, right? Because there are so many different aspects that you have to understand, that computer developers has to be familiar with, right? Maybe this could be a reason why Sri Lanka is not that much forward to game development as a uh, massive scale industry, right? Maybe that's why, I'm not sure. Okay. Um, okay. So basically, that's the uh, idea of, yeah. So that's the basic idea of the game engine. Okay. Uh, right. So um, there are several game engines available uh, at the industry. So one of the popular engines are Unreal Engine, Unity, and recently another engine came called Godot. And there are some uh, other third-party engines as well, like CryEngine and GameMaker. But overall, the most popular engines are basically Unity, Unreal Engine, and Godot, right? And today's session is specifically focused on to introducing Unreal Engine, and we will see why is that later on. Okay. Okay. So what is Unreal Engine? Um, well, basically, as I said earlier, the goal of today's session is to introduce the concepts, introduce the tools at the game development industry, and inspire you to develop computer games, right? Because I don't want you guys to just go out of this session. I just want you to guys to at least try out what is this uh, game development is about, right? At least one time in your life. Okay. uh, so the obvious question is how to do that, right? uh, for example, let's say uh, if you want to make some artwork, then you may need sort of toolings, right? For example, let's say Photoshop, maybe like Illustrator, things like that. So those are the tools that you require. But the obvious question is, those are proprietary, right? You have to buy those applications, right? So when it comes to game industry, yes, there are some assets that you have to buy, but there are very popular, open source, freely available, industry leading tools that you can use completely free to create computer games. Right? Basically, you can create a computer game right now if you have the correct tools with you. Right? I don't know how many of you believe it or not, but that's the uh, idea, right? Uh, but it's complex, okay? I'm not saying like right after this session you can create a computer game. But all of those tools are there out there, completely free, completely open source. You can use it without any issue. Right? You don't need to buy anything basically, right? You can start the game development. Right. So Unreal Engine is one of the leading game engine that is currently sort of very popular in the industry. Open source, completely free, and highly optimized engine, and it was written in C++, right? So I think you may know about C and C++ languages. Actually, C++ is extension for C, right? And C is basically the parent of any language, any leading language in the world, right? Not every language is written from C, but many of the language constructs are built on top of C, right? Uh, so C is a very optimized, uh, fast language, right? So when it comes to computer game development, we need these sort of uh, optimized software to develop computer games to have the better performance, right? So anyway, Unreal Engine was written from C++. I'm not going into more technical detail. I just want to give you an idea. Plus, one other thing is like there are so many different platforms that computer games are exist, right? Obviously, PC is there, computers, and there are like Android platforms, Mac OS based platforms, Xbox One, PlayStations, Nintendo Switch, right? Even WebGL game are there, right? So there are so many different platforms, right? So the obvious question is how you can develop uh, games for each and every individual platform, right? Basically, let's say, okay, you come up with a game called, I don't know, some sort of a racing game. You develop initially it for a computer PC, right? But let's say it's get popular, right? And you want to release it for a PlayStation, right? So how you can do that, right? Because it's a completely different platform. It's not operated using Windows, right? It has a different operating system, different software libraries. So how you can compile or build your game that comply with those platforms, right? So this is known as cross-platform compatibility, which means you develop a software, you develop a computer game as a one single entity, right? And there are multiple different pipelines that you use to build that game as an executable that can be run in different types of platforms, right? For example, if you use Unreal Engine, if you develop computer game using Unreal Engine, you can build it for Windows by using that Windows build execution pipeline, right? Let's say you want to release it on PlayStation, you can run that PlayStation build execution pipeline, right? So Unreal Engine provide this cross compiler compatibility, which means you can build your game in a way it support for multiple different platforms, right? So you don't need to actually create uh, game multiple times for different platforms. Instead, you create a one entity and you distinguish the build pipeline based on the platform. Okay, I hope you got the idea. Right. Um, so Unreal Engine actually has two major versions. We have Unreal Engine 4, we have Unreal Engine 5. Uh, so many games actually already developed using Unreal Engine 4. Uh, but I think around 2022, Epic Games released a new version of Unreal Engine known as Unreal Engine 5. And if you haven't heard what is Epic Game is about, Epic Games are the one who create the Unreal Engine, and by using Unreal Engine, they create a computer game called Fortnite. And back in the days, there was a game called Unreal Tournament. Both games are very popular, but considering the current context, the Fortnite is the most popular game I think, developed using Unreal Engine 4, right? But later on they moved to Unreal Engine 5. Um, so why I take too much time on this Unreal Engine? Basically, yeah, I just want to show uh, its size actually. Uh, so Unreal Engine 4 is approximately around 17 to 40 GB. So once you included all the plugins and libraries, it will be around 40 GB. But as the base engine, it will be around 20 GB, right? So remember, this is a software that we use to build computer games. Okay, for example, let's say Visual Studio Code you used for develop website, or IntelliJ you used to develop web applications or any sort of standalone application, but they are like around, I don't know, maybe like 1 or 2 GB, right? But when it comes to game industry, our tech stack is much more bigger, much more massive, right? uh, so Unreal Engine 4 is around 70 to 40 GB. Unreal Engine 5 is approximately around 50 GB, and it may go further as well. Uh, so this could be another reason that computer game development is not popular in Sri Lanka, right? Why? Because you should have a sort of powerful hardware to run these applications, right? These are engines to develop computer games. Okay, when you actually develop in computer games, things will get much more complex, things will get much more massive. Computation power increases exponentially, so you need better hardware, right? So this could be another reason. Uh, actually the computer game development is not currently well established in the country, right? Okay, so I will give you sort of uh, insight about the features existing in Unreal Engine. um, so this is sort of a viewport, or sort of a uh, what do you call, the application overview of Unreal Engine 4. Okay, Unreal Engine 5 has a different interface, but this is the interface of Unreal Engine 4. Uh, so you can actually add your 3D assets within this engine, and you can actually manipulate its behaviors, right? For example, you can see this sort of a dragon character has been added as an asset to this engine, and you can place it anywhere, right? And you can design your level, right? So the world building capabilities is there at the Unreal Engine. You can build actually any sort of world. Okay, go with your wildest imaginations. You can do that within the Unreal Engine, right? Plus, you can actually model the landscape as well, right? So maybe a planet, maybe a I don't know, maybe a ocean, maybe island, something like that. You can model any sort of terrain inside Unreal Engine, right? And there is another concept called world partition, right? So the world partition is like, let's say you may have seen like games which has extremely big levels. For example, let's take GTA 5, right? It has extremely massive level, extremely massive map. So at the runtime, computer is not going to uh, run that entire level at once, right? What it does, it chunk the level, right? It chunk the level, and it execute, or if it take those, sorry, it takes those assets to your memory at runtime based on those chunks, right? Otherwise, what happens if you render the entire scene? Your computer resources are not enough to handle those sort of massive computation, right? So instead, what it does is it render chunk by chunk, and as players, we feel like no, the entire scene is there, right? But actually, what happened inside is it is not aware for us, it is not aware for the player, but it's rendering as chunks, right? So these capabilities actually should provide by a underlying engine or underlying platform, right? So Unreal Engine is capable of leveraging those requirements as well, right? Otherwise, you can develop a computer game, but at the end, it should be playable at the end user's need, right? Maybe you may have a uh, proper hardware, you may have a great uh, hardware components in your machine. So in your machine, the game will run perfectly. But let's say at the end consumer, they don't have that sort of a powerful computer. But at the end, they should be able to play it as well. So you need to make your game in optimized fashion that can be run on such PCs as well, right? So these sort of optimization techniques are there at the game industry. So there are many different algorithms, many different data structures that we follow. But unfortunately, I'm not going to talk in detail. Uh, but this is sort of an idea, right? There are computer science theories applied in the computer games in order to optimize those games that can be playable in many uh, downgraded hardware, right? So these capabilities has to be provided by engines. Unreal Engine can do that, right? And like you may need to implement some skies, clouds, or in sort of a lightning patterns in your game. Unreal Engine is capable of providing those features. And water system is there. Again, since you guys are in the computer domain, you may heard about water simulation algorithms, right? So these are like, how can I say? These are like some of the fundamental questions that we have in mathematics, right? Like how we can model a perfect water simulation, right? How you can do that? Because in real world, uh, water is basically it's a physical form, but at the end, it's just atomic level orchestration, right? So it's very complex thing happen in the in our world, um, but how we can simulate such thing in our hardware, right? In our computers. So this is like one of the fundamental questions that we have in mathematics, right? It is not specifically for water, but for a simulation, right? Um, so water is one of the simulation which is extremely high computational problem that we have to solve. Um, so in computer games, what we are doing is we are not going to simulate the exact water. What we are going to do is we are applying sort of a mathematical algorithms to simulate that behavior, right? So there are like several concepts called seeding, uh, eigenvector manipulation, things like that. Uh, so the obvious question is, uh, computer game developers may have or may not have actually that depth of understanding, right? So because these are very complex problems, right? So what these sort of engine do is they actually approximate those problems and provide features for us, right? So you don't need to go into that mathematical depth, or you don't need to go into that physical construction level. Instead, you can simply use the features. You get what I'm saying? So in Unreal Engine, there are pre-calculated or pre-created shaders, uh, which is water, right? So you can use this water in your level to make, I don't know, maybe like oceans, lakes, things like that, right? Uh, So the approximated, uh, such approximated things are there at Unreal Engine as well to build your games. Right, and for animations, obviously, the features are there, like because you have to animate your characters, you animate your levels, so those capabilities are also there. And this is another interesting thing, which is called as machine learning deformer. And actually, I think these days ML and AI is getting more popular. Um, so in Unreal Engine as well, they have provide such machine learning capabilities. So this ML deformer is about to simulate the muscle mass in your in human body, right? But again, these are sort of advanced concept, but I just want to show you Unreal Engine is capable of even doing such stuff, right? And it's totally free, okay? Entirely free. Even you can download it right now and get started with completely free, right? And for making cinematics and stuff, there is a feature called sequencer. And for particles, we have Niagara particle system at Unreal Engine. And for physics destructions and other collision handling logics, we have those features there. And this is another important computation problem at the computer science, which is hair simulation. Right? Again, hair simulation is a very complex mathematical problem. Try and see. So Unreal Engine even is capable of handling such computations. And one of the most important fact about Unreal Engine is, I mentioned before, it was based on C++, but when it comes to developing your game, you don't need to necessarily use C++ to develop computer games. Instead, you can follow this visual scripting, right? Because at the end, programming is all about idea, right? Programming is not about a language, right? Don't think like if you know C++ better, you are a good programmer. It's not the way. If you know about everything about Java, it doesn't make you a good programmer, right? What makes you a good programmer is understanding the core software engineering principles and design patterns and ideas, right? So if you can apply those ideas by using any sort of a programming language, that's it. That's what make you a good programmer. So following that concept, in Unreal Engine, they have abstracted C++ for another level called blueprint visual scripting. So you can sort of encapsulate multiple different logics and you can build your computer game, right? It's basically like you don't need to familiar with C++, right? Even a normal person, if he or she know about the logic, that's it. You can develop computer games. But of course, you can use C++ to build games in Unreal Engine as well. Okay. And for build the AI features, actually we have a concept called behavior trees at Unreal Engine. Because decision making is what AI does, right? Uh, so those sort of capabilities are there at Unreal Engine to make your NPC characters or any sort of a entity like that, right? Okay. And there are virtual camera systems. So I'm not going this area too much because this is about computer game development. But when it comes to the film industry and news broadcast and stuff, these virtual camera systems are there at Unreal Engine. Actually, you may see all those news and I don't know, maybe like virtual environments. So most of the time they are developed using Unreal Engine. And virtual production is another important concept. Actually, Tomorrowland, this is, I think, I'm not quite sure about the year, but recently they have done a festival using virtual production. Right? I think this was around that COVID year because they can't gather mass crowd to a specific place because of that virus thing. So if I remembered correctly, I think that's the reason they have been done this sort of a virtual production using Unreal Engine. All right, I'm not going to play this clip, but anyway. And Game of Thrones, it's a TV show. I think all of you know about this stuff. Uh, the scenes has been developed using Unreal Engine. And there are K-pop groups, right, uh, which develop using Unreal Engine. And there are TV shows which develop using Unreal Engine, right? So all of these has been developed using this free and open source software, right? I'm not asking you to do these sort of, I'm not asking Sri Lankans to do these sort of massive scale stuff, but I just want to show you we have the capability, we have the tools. What we missing is, what we are lacking is the motivation and the knowledge, right? We have the tools, we have everything in our hands basically, but we don't know how to use those stuff. That's the issue. Okay. Okay. So this is sort of architecture about a third-person shooter game. Actually, uh, this is a game that we developed at Elsewhere Games, and there was a tutorial series as well. So I will show you those details in later slides. Okay. Okay. Right. So how to be part of video game industry? Okay. Okay. So first thing is you have to understand your passion and understand your role. Like what sort of a role that you have to do if you want to come into the game industry. It could be marketing, it could be designing, it could be writing, sound engineering, things like that. Okay. You have to understand your passion, right? And you have to build your skills and portfolio, right? Because you have to try out these tools, you have to try out multiple different stuff to get familiar with the industry. And networking, right? Another important thing, right? So having these sort of sessions, or you can watch some YouTube sessions, right? Or you can go for other game developers and see what they are doing. So this sort of networking should be there to get much familiar with the game development, right? And get some experience, right? Maybe you can do some freelance work, maybe you can do internships, right? Later on, if you have interested in the domain, you can get some idea about the industry. And most importantly, right, you have to learn by yourself, right? Even software engineering is like that. I know uh, we learn those stuff in academically, we learn those stuff in books, in lectures, in other events, but if you are not doing software engineering by yourself, you can't become a good software engineer. Okay. Take any big name that is out there in the industry. Most of the time those software engineers doesn't have much academic qualities. Some of the best well-known engineers are not even graduated from a university, but they have created amazing software because they have keep learning by themselves, right? So even once you guys graduated and once you guys come to industry, don't think just because of you are having a degree, just because of you have a first class, just because of you even a bachelor, it doesn't guarantee you a job, right? Nobody cares at the industry, right? In the industry, what they care about is, are you talented entity that can create software, that you have the idea about the domain, right? Not about your academic qualifications or scripts. Okay. I can say that because I have those academic qualities. They don't care. Okay. Um, so most important thing is keep learning every day. I'm not asking for do programming in every day, but keep learning, right? When it comes to computer game development industry as well, try things, learn every day. Maybe the word every day doesn't mean all the day, right? At least when you have the time, learn, right? Even joining this sort of a session is learning, right? So stay curious and keep learning. Plus, consider some formal education as well, right? Maybe your degree program provides some computer graphic courses, maybe some engineering courses, right? Maybe some game development sessions. So join those stuff and learn, right? So I'm not saying formal education is insignificant, but having a formal education could be helpful as well, right? Okay, so time is actually running up, so I have to go quickly, right? Yeah, some of you has been asked questions, so I'll come to those stuff at the end. Yeah, so about the Elsewhere games, again, this is a startup that is started by me. So I found this company, and we are basically doing computer game development stuff there, right? So I just want you to guys give some introduction. So if you guys like to join with us, or maybe I don't know, maybe even start your own company, we will give the support, right? Because it's all about developing together, right? We can't do this individually, right? Don't think like you can become somewhat massive by doing things independently and secretly. It doesn't happen, right? Why? Because these tools, these technologies that we use are open source, free. Okay, free means anyone can use it. If anyone can use it, anyone can do great things, right? So if anyone can do great things, we need everyone's collaborations, right? We need to influence a massive community as much as possible we can. Then with the time, things will grow up, right? And things will become saturated, where the industry is reforming, right? So the goal of engineers like us is to give you that knowledge, right? So you guys can even try out this stuff and start working. Okay, think about even starting your computer game development company. That's totally fine, right? It's not a impossible thing to do, right? Think about these stuffs as well. Not to just to graduate, not to just to join for a company, not to go for a master's, not to go only for PhD, right? I'm not saying those stuff doesn't matter, right? Those stuffs are great, but think about starting your companies as well. Try to become entrepreneurs. Try to invent things, right? Because if we are not going to do those stuff, who are going to do those things, right? If you are thinking to make great things, you can start right now, right? Okay, anyway, so Elsewhere Games is about that. So it's a game development company, so we develop computer games, plus we provide enterprise level integration tools to develop or to support computer game developers. And we are instructor as well, right? We do sessions, we do tutorials, so other people can learn and try to make computer games, right? So we have developed several titles, including both mobile titles and PC titles. So you can go for our website uh, via this link and search about more. At the end of the session, I will share a document with one of your committee members. So they will share these details for you later on. So you can go search, okay? And we provide enterprise level integration tools such as we have developed several systems that can be reusable to develop computer games, right? So the game developers, what they can do is they can use our assets, use our tools to build their computer games, right? For example, map system, right? So mini map, world map. So these are like components exist on the computer games. So what computer game developers can do that, instead of wasting their time to do those stuff from ground up, they can buy our assets, they can uh, integrate those into their games, and they can boost it up their development process, right? Actually, we have very good revenue comes from this sector. So yeah, we are enterprise level integration providers, and we are instructor. we do many things freely, right? Anyone can learn, anyone can contact us, totally fine. We are feel free to teach anything to anyone completely free, right? So we provide many courses uh, completely free. So there's a YouTube channel called Elsewhere Games. You can go there and you can learn about how to create these computer games, right? So like let's say you want to create a strategy game. We have done a tutorial series and we are keep doing it. Or let's say you want to make a third-person game. For example, like how to create a game like GTA, how to create a game like I don't know, Batman, Watch Dogs, things like that. We are doing tutorial sessions for those stuffs as well. Okay. Um, and currently we have around 100 customers across the world. Most of them are computer game developers who follow us, who buy our assets, and there are some of the indie game development studios as well that collaborates with us by using our tools. Okay. So our team is currently 6 members, including me and few other engineers and artists. So yeah, if you even like to join with us, feel free to drop out. Okay. Uh, so if you like to join with us, actually we have 2 internships and 1 freelance job opportunities available at LCR Games. So you can go to our website, and if you are interested, you can even join with us. Okay. Right. I think I come to the conclusion. I think I'm on time. Yeah. So I have to go bit fast when explaining this stuff. I'm sorry in order to do it that manner because the time is not enough, but I have to deliver, I have to show you guys many more different aspects, right? Because then you can try those stuff, right? You can explore those stuff more, right? Anyway, at the conclusion, yeah, what we have been covered? We have been covered about what is the computer game is about. We have seen what is game industry and how they generate the revenue, and some brief understanding about computer game development life cycle. And if you are interested about computer game development, how you can start it, you can use game engines like Unreal Engine. And if you're going to use Unreal Engine, what are the features, what are the use cases? And ultimately, if you like to be a part of video game industry, how you can do that. And finally, I did a small introduction about LCR games. Okay, right. Uh, yeah, I think it's almost time. Uh, yeah, maybe we can move to Q&A session. I think, yeah, I haven't exceeded the time. Vidusini or anyone like,
Yes.
you
Yeah.
good?
Yes, you're not exceeding time. You can take a couple of minutes for the Q&A session.
Okay, great. Yeah, so I've seen some of you posted few questions at the chat. Yeah. So Amila, okay, I'm not going to tell the names, but yeah, someone has asked, is there any course with basic fundamentals that can we follow with free charge? Yes, there are many more. Just go to YouTube, search about Unreal Engine, search about computer game development, many things will pop out. But I will share some of the links, some of the free courses that are freely available. So you guys can follow those stuff. Okay. After this session, I will share those documents with some of your committee members. I think I have a contact with Anuka and Tiliru. I will share those links, share those documents to those people, and they will share with you guys. Okay. But yeah, there are many more tutorials freely available to learn computer game development. Okay. Then what will be the starting point where we need to start the game development process? I mean, the learning stuff like 3D modeling, programming, game engine and stuff. Yeah. So the learning point could be different, right? Because as I mentioned before, this is a broader domain, right? We can't learn everything in the domain, but what we can do is we can specialize one field and try to understand the other areas. Yeah? That's what we can do. So if your passion is about developing computer games, I'll recommend to use Unreal Engine. First thing, it's entirely free and it's sort of easy to use, and there are many free tutorials and courses that are freely available to create computer games, right? So if your passion is about computer game development, use Unreal Engine, get familiar with it. If your motivation is about or passion about developing 3D models, right? Extremely good, extremely nice. I know many people at Sri Lanka who develop 3D models. Most of them are publishing those 3D models as free, not free actually, as freelancing services, and they sell their 3D models even international companies, right? I'm not going to say their names, but there are many people like that earning in millions, right? I'm not exaggerating, okay? This is the reality. 3D modeling is amazing, but it is sort of artistic, okay? So if your passion is about developing 3D models, yes, go for it. So you can start using Blender completely free, or if you want to use proprietary softwares, you can use like 3ds Max, Maya. But I think instead of going to that level at the initial level, start using Blender, right? Develop some small asset, something like tree, maybe a house, right? Then you can start those stuff. Yeah. And programming, obviously, I think, yeah, you guys definitely know how to program. So yeah, you can do that. Those stuff as well. Yeah. And another message, any YouTube video playlist that can we follow? Yes, there are many. So I will share those details in a document within today, and you guys can follow. Okay. What about the Linux ecosystem support towards gaming and game building? Linux is actually support for game development. Obviously, even Unreal Engine can be run on Linux. But the issue is actually it's not an issue, but the goal of computer games is to generate more revenue, right? So many users actually use Windows or Mac or these sort of hardware, or even PlayStations or even Nintendo Switches, things like that, as the general purpose audience, right? Linux is popular among developers or industry leading companies, or like graduates or undergraduates like us. Um, but for when it comes to computer gaming, Linux is not that much popular. It's not that much of popular platform. But the answer is yes. You can develop computer games in Linux. You can do that. But the goal is not to only target Linux, right? Goal is to target all of these different platforms, right? Or target entire audience, right? Because at the end we have to target the end users, right? End consumers. How to sell our game, right? How to generate more revenue. So without depending on a platform, we have to think like that, right? But yeah, good question. Linux is support for game development. Yeah, obviously. What are the minimum resources to start game dev? Good question. Minimum resource can be, I think, any laptop, any PC that you guys have currently can run Unreal Engine 4, right? Unreal Engine 5 is a bit expensive, right? But if you have a gaming laptop or like sort of a powerful laptop like that, you can run Unreal Engine 5. But if you have a general purpose laptop, I think you can start with Unreal Engine 4, right? Then when you understand the concepts, you can go for a better hardware. Yeah, for the minimum resources, I can't say like specifically this much of RAM, specifically this much of CPU. But what I can say generally, within the current context, any laptop that currently using you guys, maybe at university, or even a PC that you guys using at home, can run these tools, right? It may not be the optimum way of developing computer games, but at the initial level, to get familiar with it, you can use those hardware. Okay. Last question. Can we join with your company after gaining skill of creating 3 models? Well, it depends, right? It's not about amount of models that you create, right? It's about the capabilities you have, right? Because it's all about quality, right? Not quantity. Even if you develop a one good model, we can understand, okay, you are a good 3D modeler, you are a good 3D artist, or you have a potential. If you have that ability, yes, you can join with us, no issue, right? So actually we have currently a opening position at SVR Games. So if you are interested, drop your CV or drop your portfolio links to that job node, and yeah, let's collaborate. Okay, I think I have took 7 minutes for the Q&A session. Are there any questions, or shall we wind up?
Yeah, since we don't have any more questions, we'll wind it up then. Thank you, Dhanushka, for spending your valuable time here with us today. It's people like you that are revolutionizing the industry. And as you said, there is definitely a gap in this gaming development area in Sri Lanka. So thank you to our participants as well for participating here today. So maybe you can be the ones that bridge that gap and take Sri Lanka to the next level. So we have provided you with all the open source resources that are available as well. So it is entirely up to you to decide whether you want to step in and take the maximum use out of this opportunity or not. So nobody is going to push you or drag you to do this. So if you have the passion and if you have the motivation, then definitely you can pull something off. And thank you again, Dhanushka. And I'm sure that if you all have any further questions, he'll be more than happy to accommodate them via his LinkedIn profile. You can definitely get in contact through him via that. And also, if you have more questions, you can reach out to our IEEE student branch members. We'll also be happy to guide you too. So that is the entire purpose of IEEE. Actually, we are here to give you the vision and the guidance, and so you can travel to the maximum that your potential can take you. Thank you again, Dhanushka, and to the participants as well. This meeting, it is actually recorded and it will be available on the IEEE student branch YouTube, and we'll be sending you the link of that too. So thank you so much, everyone. Have a great day.
Okay, guys. Thank you, Ilan. Yeah, see you. Bye.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you, Malli. Okay,
Thank you very much. Yeah.
okay. Right.